Awesome. So thank you so much for joining. This was something that was originally supposed to happen in, I think, November,
No, I think December.
December. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it's like come all the way in June. But I think the timing feels great because um, I'm in a career transition myself. So some of these things or some of what we'll talk about will be relevant to me as well as our guests today.
I'm trying to see. Okay, we have 7 people
Yeah.
in. That's about 5 more people. To see the number of participants or the number of attendees right now. So I see that we have about 7. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yep, but we'll start at, I think we have maybe like 2 minutes. Um, but maybe with this time that we have you done events like this maybe since December? Do you host Zooms regularly?
Actually, this is my first virtual speaking engagement. No, actually, I had one in February. Yes, but
Okay.
it wasn't career related. It was more of like a life. It was a women's ladies meeting, and we had to discuss things around decision making for as women, and that was I was on a panel. That was the only virtual meeting I had since January. But then for career related conversations, they're usually in person. Um, and since the beginning of the year, I've actually just been working on some projects. I've been doing some research, especially around promotion and transitioning. So I've been busy with interviewing like senior managers, executives in tech industry. I'm also trying to I realize that most of the principles that come out of this research, they're applicable to other industries beyond the tech industry. So I decided to like extend my research to people in banking, like traditional banking and FMCG, just a couple of other industries, 1 or 2 extra, just to give range and to accommodate a larger audience. So that's really what my team and I have been
Yes,
working.
yes, yes, yes.
So yeah, uh,
Okay. Yeah, thank you for that introduction and overview. Um, as I reflect on how industries are changing, I think it makes sense that what you're doing and what your research has found um, that this topic, this area is applicable to multiple industries, especially with AI,
yes,
and you know how work is, I think, becoming more democratized. People are becoming more entrepreneurial. So I think that's great, and we'll dig into that as we go on. But we'll start now. Do you mind giving us a bit about your background, just a little bit, so we don't steal from the presentation?
of course. Okay, hi everybody.
We
It's
just
nice.
come in like at the end of the house.
Okay,
Hi
cool.
everyone. It's nice to be here with you. My name is Monjolaoluwa. I am a product manager, and honestly, I'm here today really not just as a product manager, but as a as a seasoned career transitioner. Really, I am not talking in terms of how do I say it? I'm introducing myself as a product manager, but I didn't start out my career as a product manager. I started as an executive assistant, and my work basically was managing calendars, coordinating meetings, assisting on projects, pretty much like a project manager that is not a project manager, quote unquote. And so I was supporting senior leaders in the businesses. I've worked with CEOs, CEOs in tech industry, in the agribusiness space. And so that's how I started out as an executive assistant. So when I joined Kuda Bank, where I am a product manager, I was still operating as an executive assistant. I was operating in that capacity, but on paper, I realized that I was a lot of my skills were transferable, and I was having multiple conversations around what's next for me. It's been 5 years on this role. Where am I moving to? I did a number of certifications on project management. I was already acting in the capacity of a project manager. As a matter of fact, I would be introduced on different projects that I was liaising and working on as a project manager. But in reality, that wasn't the case. I was in rooms where decisions were made, but I didn't have a very strong influence on many of those decisions. My influence was very silent in terms of effort, in terms of execution, but not in terms of holding water in the room. And so I decided to research that in what other ways can I apply my skills? In what other ways can I also grow as a person? And I was just done with the role, long story short. And so I was able to transition to a product manager. I will tell you the story as we start the slide. And that after transitioning, I was able to realize that I actually had many skills that I needed in my new role. I just did not see it at the time. I was spending so much time doing certification, studying and stuff. But then when I started to actually practice and execute, and then I started to see that okay, I actually have way more than I thought I did. And so that's just a recap of me in terms of career. I am from Nigeria. I'm based in Lagos State. I am married and I have a son. He's going to be 2 years old. And I started out a platform that provides resources for career transitioners like myself, mid to senior level professionals that are looking to, make progress in their career and move with clarity and strategy. And that platform is called Dear Ambitious Me. And on that platform, we talk about everything from office politics to technical skills to where AI is taking us, and what the future of work is. And so that's really all that I've been doing. I've been doing some research alongside my team on the Ambitious Me, and I'm looking forward to releasing some of those research very soon towards the end of the year. Thank you very much for having me again. I hope that kind of gives you everything you need to know.
That was excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm already racking up the questions in my head. So happy to start the presentation.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about adaptability at work and remaining relevant through career twists and turns. I don't want you to see this topic as a one size fits all. I want you to be very open-minded as you listen to what I have to say. So this is something that matters a lot to me, and I see that it matters a lot to so many more people from my conversations with people across different industry, really. People at my church, people that are asking me, hi, what do you do at the party? And I tell them, and then they start to ask questions. Oh, okay. After that, I took a data analysis course here. I took it. I tried UI UX, and I dabbled into this and that, but I got bored. I didn't know what to do. I don't even know the way forward. So many conversations like that, and really, many people don't know what to do next whenever they face an obstacle or they face a challenge. And that really brought out the concept or the understanding that, okay, many people are actually thinking about career from a straight line perspective. They think that I would, like at the times of our parents, I would get into an organization. I would start out as for example, a clerical staff. And then before you know it, I get promoted and promoted, and then I move up the ladder. And before you know it, I'm probably the MD or at a position of power, and then I retire. But things are different now. The idea that you choose one career and you stick with it for life is no longer really realistic. In the fintech, for example, especially like in the fast moving, growing and developing economy like Nigeria and Africa, you see, things are changing quickly. And it's not only here, we are really responding to a lot of innovation and new things are coming up in the West. And a lot of things are evolving, priorities are shifting, consumers are saying something different. What people want and what people need is completely different. Let me just give you a quick background as to who I am so that you wonder, who are you to tell me all of this and why should I listen to you? Well, my name is Monjolaoluwa once again. And if you joined while I was given a summary of who I am and my story, you would know that I used to be an executive assistant. I worked as an executive assistant for 5 years, more than 5 years. And now I've been a product manager for almost 3 years. And what really shifted and how did I make this transition? So in the past, I used to work in a lot of I used to be in a lot of eye level conversations. I did a lot of eye level work. Um, I was in a lot of decision making rooms. I was in board meetings. I was in management meetings. I was in business reviews. And most of my work that looked like admin work was really stakeholder management, communication, decision support, prioritization, coordination, strategic execution, all quoted under a job title. And so, in my role as an EA, I worked on development projects, whereby we had the likes of USAID, CFYE, and so many other development organizations. And I was lead on many of these kind of projects. I worked on research. I worked on process optimization. I did so many things, but then because I was an executive assistant, people just saw me from the lens of that job title alone. And so I started to rethink a lot of things. I started to think outside of what I'm doing right now. Is this really relevant to where I see myself in the future? I started to see that I was outgrowing that job title because my skill was way ahead of that job title, especially based on the perception and the understanding of executive assistants. And so I started to do my research and I decided I wanted to become a product manager. I saw that many of my skills were transferable. At first, the advice I got from many people was, okay, you can easily plug in to be a project manager. You are a project manager already. You do this project, you manage this project, you manage that project. However, I was really looking for a new challenge, something entirely new, something different. And first time management was suggested to me, I shoved this aside. I'm like, who wants to go to tech? I'm not ready to start talking about coding and details of it. And then one day, I just woke up and decided to research. I did some digging. I asked questions. I sat down on YouTube for hours, and YouTube University, as they say, I graduated. And then I I realized that I could move and become in product management. It wouldn't be easy, but then I had the potentials and I have skills that are highly transferable and highly valuable to that role. And that was it. I decided to become a product manager. That was the first step. Of course, it wasn't easy. I started to search for opportunities. I started to learn. I was amongst the people that strongly believe that once I have so many certifications, people will give me a chance. But that's not the case. That's another realization along the way. And so when I realized that, okay, you have to ask for this opportunity. You have to ask somebody to give you a chance. I approached leaders in my organization and I told them, I'm interested in this. I have done this and I need the opportunity to apply this, what I have learned. And then I got the chance. And yes, I found my first open door. And that was how I became a product manager, intern, quote unquote. I started to intern, I started to shadow, and before you know it, the team started to give me something to do. In 6 months, I was being introduced as a product manager. So you see now that I didn't discard any of my skills, I simply just translated them. And that brings me down to the next thing here. Most people think a career change is a failure. They think, oh, was she failing as an EA? But they would assume or assign so many assumptions to my previous role. But really, it's just an evolution. Most times, we face different roadblocks in our career. From as a woman, I would say from perspective of layoffs, you are laid off from work. There's been a lot of news around tech layoffs these days. What happens to you? What happens to your career? These people are not just numbers. 10,000 people laid off, 100 people laid off. They are human beings like you and I, with dreams, with skills, with experience and understanding of what they do. They are not just anybody. They are not just numbers. These things happen. There are industry shifts. Users are saying they don't want this anymore. It's not working out. There was a time BlackBerry was a thing, but now it's Apple, right? It's touch screen. It's iOS and Android, right? Motherhood for women, fatherhood even for some. There's relocation. A lot of people are japaning from Nigeria, from Africa. People are even moving from the US now. They're moving to Thailand, Vietnam, different places. People are moving to Dubai. There's reinvention. You want to rediscover yourself. There's also burnout, right? So many things happen along the way. And these are roadblocks that if you are not strategic, you might end up falling off and you might end up thinking that that's the end for you. But no, it's not the end for you. It's just really normal, honestly. You're human, you're having real life experience, and that's okay. Apologies. Okay. So, as I would say again, adaptability is adaptability is a strategic adjustment. As I stated here, it is normal to change is normal, change is inevitable. So my next slide, the world of work has changed. What do I mean by that? AI is reshaping a lot of industries now. Even the simplest roles are considering AI now. Even industries that never thought that technology would touch them, they're actually considering technology a lot now. Roles are evolving faster than ever. Some job titles don't exist anymore. I don't know if you've noticed. Some just faded away. People don't even call themselves certain things anymore. In fact, product management right now, so many people are trying to learn and upskill and call themselves AI PMs. So career paths are no longer linear. It's not one way and one way street. It's not straight anymore. Careers are becoming more flexible and multidimensional. Most times, if you meet the chances that you meet a person and you ask them to introduce themselves and they tell you that they just do one thing, it's very the likelihood, the chances are very low, like I'm a creator or an entrepreneur or I'm building this project or that project. People are doing many things at once now. And the new economy is now adaptability economy. A lot of things are changing. People are asking for new things. Attention span is as low as at the lowest of the lowest point in history right now. And because the world of work is changing, you as an individual have to change with it. And the biggest career mistakes that many people do at this point is that they begin to define themselves by their title. They define themselves only by their job title. Just imagine if I had just defined myself as an EA and I stayed that way. I'm not saying that being an executive assistant is no, it's not. Because I've been there and I know how much work, how much value, and how much of a foundation or a backbone we have to executives thriving. I value and respect the work. But what about people that are not even in that role? How would they even understand? Now, that's one. But you don't have to be one thing. You don't have to stay the same. I also sell students. I don't know if we have students in the audience. I actually prepared like a Slido link where we'll have people come in and tell us where they are and what they do so we can understand the different audience that we have and so I can speak to you. But then I would still address students here. If the fact that you studied agriculture, I studied agriculture in university, does not mean you have to only work in the agriculture industry. Learning is inevitable. Adaptability is really just learning, the ability to continuously learn and improve. That is what adaptability is. Adaptability is not just how do I say, adaptability is not just changing when change comes. Adaptability actually happens before the actual change comes. It is when you are constantly iterating and stacking skills and adding one on one and another and another. That is actually adaptability. Adaptability is not when change comes, you react to it. It's not reactive. It is not reactive. It is proactive. And so instead of defining yourself by job title, how about you define yourself by your capabilities? Because job titles are temporary, but skills, they compound over time. And that brings me to letting you know that if you want to define yourself by your capability, then you have to start treating your career like a product. Your career should evolve based on where your value is moving. What is in demand? What do people need? What problems do we solve? Let me tell you that work does not exist just for work's sake. Everything that every individual is doing, they connect somehow. Those in government, they have their role in the world. Those in hospitality have their role. People in technology, people in I don't know, there's this name to call them. The guys doing physical work with engineering, carpentry, everybody has their role to play for society to exist. And there's requests and demand for different things and skills and um, problems that people have to solve. And whatever skills you have to offer to solve those problems, that's what matters. And so you have to start seeing yourself as a problem solver. You have to see your career as something that evolves based on the problem that is in demand that you need to solve. So your skills can always be repackaged if you see your career as a product. Your skills can always be repackaged. You can always reposition yourself to solve problems, not necessarily to be in a title, but to solve specific problems. So when you repackage yourself to solve problems, you are able to actually solve more problems than just being in a job title. That's just my understanding. That's what I've seen, and that's what my belief is, that you solve more problems by having this kind of perspective rather than saying, oh, I want to work as a PM and I'm just going to be a PM and that's it. No, I'm going to solve problems in fintech. I'm going to help build reliable system. I'm going to help make transactions smooth and fast. That is the problem I'm solving. And whether I am a technical project manager or a PM or a, a product owner, whatever title we give to it, the crux of it, the point of it is that I am solving problems. I am helping people. I am providing solution, and my value is moving in that direction. And I'm able to be paid accordingly. I'm able to work across industries. I'm able to position and plug myself in relevant markets that need those skills. Another thing that I've noticed and learned from this process is that visibility matters a lot. Today, a lot of professionals can become anything. Like I said, the future of work is different now. Everything is changing. And trust me, where we are now is most likely not where we are going to be by the end of this year and not even next year. Things are changing and moving very fast. So professionals cannot just box themselves. You can say you're a consultant, but what problems are you solving? And that way, that problem might be required in one industry and another industry and another industry. But then you can find other ways to express or to solve that problem at scale. We have a good example is someone I'll call Aproko Doctor. Is a Nigerian medical influencer. This man is a um, is an educator. Of course, he's a doctor, but he educates people. He advocates for drinking water, staying healthy, being clean, eating healthy. This is just another harm. And as you can see, his skills and his knowledge is not just being presented to the world in one way, but guess what? He's still solving problems, right? So this is just a one way to describe it. If you are looking at tech only, you can see it everywhere. People that are teachers, people that are advisors, people that are even venture capitalists, community builders, people are beginning to be different things. And so your expertise is now beyond your employment, is beyond your job title. And one way to stay relevant and to make sure that you present those solutions to the world is by being visible. And one of the things that you can do, or one of the many ways that you can do that, is by documenting your learning, is by making your work known through different platforms. We have LinkedIn, we have Twitch, we have X, we have Medium, Reddit, Quora, Pinterest, in fact, TikTok. There's so many things and so many platforms out there that you can use to express yourself and present your solutions to the world. Regardless of your personality, doesn't mean you have to become an influencer. My point is you have to show your work, build proof of work, and build a thoughtful online presence. The next thing here is still skill stacking. For me, my advantage becoming a product manager came from my combined experience in executive operation. I did a lot of communication. I managed multiple teams, managers from different departments. And so becoming a product manager, I have to manage cross-functional teams. I have to deal with designers, engineers, compliance, risk team, customer experience. Dealing with all of these teams, honestly, you see that it's really just duplicating the skill. That is what we call transferable skill. My skills were highly transferable and relevant. I just needed to apply them correctly. And so you have to master skill stacking. You have to understand that for me to remain relevant, for me to apply my skill elsewhere, I have to know how to connect. I call it skill mapping. You have to be able to map your skills in such a way that they are relevant for the problems that you're trying to solve. So you have to be able to understand that, okay, what tech skills are relevant to these problems? What communication skills, what leadership skills are required to solve these problems? You have to be able to map and say, okay, for the role I want to go into, do I need to merge my HR skills with my data analysis skills? Do I need to merge my marketing skills? Do I need to merge my storytelling skills with strategy? Currently, I am merging my product and storytelling skills to solve a particular problem right now. So these are the things that you can do to help yourself map and stack your skills correctly and direct them to specific problems that you want to solve. Versatility creates opportunity. And if you are not just one person, imagine if you were a cob of corn and you choose that you want to take yourself out away from the actual cob and remove all the seeds from the corn, you see that you are able to pour yourself into any container and fit into that container, whatever container that you are poured into, and you are still a corn. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you are still a corn, but then you can be applied anywhere. And so that's just the beauty of skill stacking. And that brings me back to AI and relevance. How do I connect artificial intelligence? There's a lot of buzz around it, but I was watching a movie earlier in the week. It's from as far back as 2009, and I was watching how FBI was doing some research using artificial intelligence. I think they would do like this fingerprint matching and face recognition and all of that. And I was just saying to my friend, I'm like, why are we making noise about AI now? They've been using AI for years. Why are we shouting about AI now? But I understand it, right? Now, AI is more mainstream. AI is everywhere. The generative part aspect of AI has been mastered, has been refined such that many more people can use it. And this is thanks to lots and lots of more data that is now available for AI to give us better results. So as we all know, computer is simple, garbage in, garbage out. And at the time, many people could not use AI as much because there wasn't a lot of data out there. Social media was not everywhere. So many people were not using social media. People were not putting their details or data online. But data is everywhere now, and data is now gold. So AI is able to have data to use to produce solutions, provide solutions, to process and provide solutions for us. But how does this concern you? You are the one that wants to be relevant. Okay, will AI take your job? I don't know. You know what? Let's just ask the audience. Do you think AI will take your job? Let's just a quick break and let's have everyone answer that. Do you think AI will take your job?
Everyone, feel free to just jump in and answer. No need to raise your hand.
You
Nope.
can say hi. Someone said nope. Okay. Nope. Okay.
I like the second half of that statement where it says it cannot replace judgment, prioritization. Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's true. And it's interesting where the industry is going. Previously, people would use AI just to, get answers for questions. But now you have AI models and companies that basically become new companies, especially in the fintech space. Someone said it will create new jobs, which is really true. And we're seeing people validating data and actually cleaning data to make AI stronger. So yeah, very, very cool and relevant stuff.
That is true. And AI is able to beyond beyond just creating, AI is also able to make decisions now, actually, on behalf of people. We have AI agents that are being deployed that are used to run repetitive tasks and even process new information. We have people having AI go through their emails and extract information and create new documentation just from data that they find in the email and content. So I get it. AI, to some extent, you can say AI actually can make decisions. But like I said, AI is replacing repetitive, predictable execution and surface level work. But actually, it's doing some deep level work as well. However, I still believe, and from research as well, it cannot replace judgment because humans are still training AI and we are still improving the models that are being built right now. And so we cannot completely say that AI would replace judgment yet because there are a lot of nuances, especially when it comes to different aspects of application applying AI, right? There are a lot of I don't know if you saw this viral video on LinkedIn about somebody who has been applying to jobs and the ATS has just been flagging his CV and is a very skilled person. I think he used to work with Google or something, but he just had to complain that we need to take a pause on how ATS is processing CVs because there's some of the things that the human judgment would pick on, or some of the nuances that we would notice as human beings that AI does not have context or would not be able to apply in terms of in execution. So these are some of the things that AI cannot do. AI is not going to replace prioritization. It can give you options, but it's still left to you to prioritize and pick what is to be done. AI would not ever replace emotional intelligence. AI is not going to replace leadership context. It's not going to replace your brain, really. AI is not going to replace human communication. At the end of the day, you still have to communicate with ourselves. And these are the things that AI cannot do. And these are the things that you can leverage to actually, you can now use AI to improve for yourself, right? So AI is leverage. AI is not taking your job. You just have to evolve with it. So let's talk about how to evolve. Building portable skills. This is very important because portable skills create freedom. And you may ask me, MJ, what are portable skills? I call them skills that you can apply anywhere and everywhere. They're not just transferable skills, they're skills that are relevant, skills that cut across geography, that cut across industry, that cut across different pay grades, that cut across businesses. So we are looking at data literacy, design thinking, leadership, risk management, cybersecurity, emotional intelligence, cross-cultural competencies, project management. Regardless of the industry you are, digital marketing. These are skills that, these are serious conversations in rooms for business owners, for big corporations, right? And if you find somewhere in between, this is not all of it actually. This is just a list I came up with, but you can do more research as to the different portable skills that you can learn and improve on. And so whenever you want to build a portable skill, regardless of the team that you're on and the industry that you're in, you can just ask yourself, where do I see myself going? And then you start from there, and then you outline the skills that are required to be where you want to be. And then you ask yourself, these skills, are they going to be, can I apply them globally? Right? We're seeing the rise of more and more global skills now. A lot of people are working remotely, working with people in Russia, people in Germany, people in New Zealand, people in South Africa, Namibia. And the skills that you are going to be learning should be skills that anywhere in the world it is relevant. And then you ask yourself, is this something that can work remotely? Is this something that I can apply anywhere, anytime, whether they see me or not? Of course, there's skills that requires your presence, but there's also some skills that wherever you are, you can still do them. These are what I call portable skills. And these skills give you a level of freedom, geography freedom, industry freedom, income flexibility, and transferability. And so build portable skills. And what are the other practical ways to stay relevant? I categorized it into two sections. If you are a student, fresh graduates, entry level to young professionals, one thing that is very important to you in 2026 right now is that you have to first, like I said earlier, ask yourself, where do you want to see yourself? And do this in an informed manner. Do some research, know where the industry is going, know what's going on there, because the fact that it's not yet happening in Nigeria or in any other country in Africa that you are in right now does not mean that it's not happening already, and you have to stay ahead of the curve. And so identify the skills that are relevant to that industry, to the desired place that you want to be in your career. And then next thing you do is you have to develop the skills. And how do you develop the skills? Of course, many people say do courses and all of that. Yes, but as you can see on my list, online courses are the last. Why is that? I completely believe that experience is the best teacher. I am a product manager today because I did product management work, not because I took product management courses. As at the time I was taking so many courses, I was not a product manager. I was just learning product management. And so that is why I believe that this is very important, that the old saying that experience is the best teacher is indeed very true. Experience is the best teacher. Do a lot of job shadowing, ask for internship opportunities, knock on doors. Try not to break them down, but knock on doors until somebody gives you a chance. And then you follow it all of industry news. What is happening in your industry? Where is it going to? What are the innovations? What are the new trends? What is happening? If you don't know what's happening, there's no way you can solve problems. And then you have to listen to a lot of expert podcasts. And like I said, social media is your friend. Like, be everywhere. Learn, and learn. Try to avoid information overload, of course, but try to learn. Listen to podcasts if podcast is your thing. There are a lot of YouTube videos out there teaching, learning, teaching, giving advice. There are also people that they are not necessarily teaching, but they're just sharing their experience. And that's just one excellent way to learn. And while you do that, don't forget, develop competency by doing. You develop competency by doing, not just skills on paper. You go from 0 to 100 by doing. You don't just go from 0 to 100 by just knowing and doing nothing about it. Nobody needs skills that are not being applied. We need your skills to be applied. And for me, to senior level professionals, you've been working 5, 6, 7 years, you've been working 10 years maybe, and you feel like something is coming. You just can feel it, right? Something is coming, things are different, your organization is restructuring multiple times. What's going to happen to me? So you start to audit yourself. What are my transferable skills? What are the other things I'm interested in? Who am I as a person? When you audit yourself in full, then you can start to learn based on the results of your audit. And once you start to learn and you start to do, you start to build visibility. You start to share the proof of your work. If you want to stay relevant, you want to stay relevant in your industry and whatever you do, even as a business owner, if you have a business here, you have to be visible. It is no longer an option, it is a necessity. And does not mean that you have to be an influencer. No, I don't think so. I think you just have to show proof of work. And whatever way that is, if it is in reports, if it's in infographics, if it's in actual results. For example, any product I'm working on as a PM, I don't, even if I'm not talking about it, I can easily just send you a link and you can go through that product. You can see what it's doing. You can see the impact it's making, all of those things. I can also now choose to write about it, give additional reports around it. But then that is what they call proof of work. So you have to build proof of work and you have to use AI intentionally. You have to, honestly, one of the people that the set of people that would not miss out at all, and that the future really is for in terms of AI, are those that are playing with AI now. Play with it extensively. They said you need to build AI agents, figure it out, do side projects, do random things. Like I was listening out something, I had an idea last night around how I wanted to use AI agents to create like a grocery list slash meal plan for myself, whereby I insert my grocery list every week and it starts to sort my meals based on my nutritional requirements and the people that I have in my house. And that's just me playing with AI, just play with it, right? And then that way you try to also maintain adaptability in terms of focus. You focus on the different aspects of your portfolio career, as I would call it, meaning I can do this, I can do this, but you focus on them. You don't try to move from being a civil engineer and all of a sudden you are a musician at the same time. You like, don't be scattered, do be streamlined, use your skills to and apply them in most relevant spaces. Then let me move forward because I don't want to take too much of our time. Let's now wrap it up with my top 3 lessons and top 3 mistakes.
Yes, I would say let's make sure there's time for questions, for people to ask questions.
All right, so yes, let's just wrap it up with this. Top 3 mistakes to avoid. Number 1, stop waiting till you feel ready, and stop defining yourself too narrowly, and stop ignoring communication skills. This, as it sounds vague, but trust me, stop ignoring communication skills. And then the last 3 lessons that I would say are skills transfer more than titles. You have to take note of those. Proximity accelerates growth. So be around where you want to be. If you want to be here, be around that place. Even if you can't be there, just make sure you are around it, because you are able to grow faster just by being around. And then clarity comes from action. You do not grow without doing. You have to do. My final thoughts here: don't box yourself into one title. Build capabilities that travel anywhere in the world. Thank you so much. I believe that for everyone in this room, the future belongs to them because they are those that are willing to adapt. I share more reflections on career growth and transitions on Dear Ambitious Me. You can check us out on any of the social media platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Monjola, for this session. I want to start by saying the first Academy Lunch and Learn that we had was about thinking entrepreneurially. So when you're in the school system, connecting what you're learning in the classroom to the real world, and actually building, aside from intellectual capital, social capital, and financial capital. And as we're here talking about adaptability at work, you're showing us in real time how to do that. I think what you said about AI and its relevance is so important. And also just, making sure that, say you trained as an architect, right? You don't have to be an architect all your life. You can look at the other possibilities that are, out there for you. So I'll take host prerogative and ask the first question. And it's a simple question. What would you say comes first? Confidence or clarity?
Clarity. I would
Okay.
say clarity. Confidence follows clarity. It's when you're clear, you're sure, you know what you're doing, you understand. If I were to solve a problem right now, or I wanted to talk on a topic right now, speak on a topic right now here, and I do not know what topic I'm to speak on, I might not confidently present it to you. But if I am clear on what I need to talk about, even if I have little information, I'm able to put my thoughts together and communicate something and provide something, compared to if I had zero clarity, zero context. So clarity comes before confidence.
For sure. Thank you for that. And now I'm going to ask anyone else in the room if they have a question for Monjola. Or if you had comments about her presentation, that's fine as well.
Yes, I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Mojola. I'm an educator, and I liked what you said about what is in demand today. I usually tell my young learners to start with the end in mind. Think about what is relevant today. Don't think about what you want to study, but think about, what is relevant today. Do your research and then try to key into that. And I also like what you said about audit yourself. What are the things that you can do? We're not all just one type of person. A lot of us are multi-skilled. So yeah, that was nice to hear.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure you heard me. I said thank you very much. That's actually so true. Start with what's in demand today. What do people want today? To solve problems, you have to understand the problems that people are having now. Problems that are relevant to the times that we are in. Okay. Do we have any more questions or comments? I would really entertain comments.
If no one has a question right now, I'll ask. So it sounds like,
We have a question.
Is there some in the comments? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this question says, thank you. Concerning building your profile and portfolio online, how about when what you do for your employer cannot be shared on your personal social media page?
Oh, that's a very valid question, honestly, especially for someone like me, in the fintech industry. I'll just use myself as an example. I'm not sure what industry you're in. some of our work, a lot of our work is confidential. We're dealing with a lot of people's money and data, and so we cannot share too many things. But building your personal portfolio and profile online does not mean that you have to expose your company's secrets. That's why sometimes all you have to share is your thinking process, your thought process, your own opinions, your own personal opinions. Another thing you can share is your lessons from your work. If, for example, you work in research and maybe in health industry or something, you can draw inferences from your research work and share lessons from the experiences that you have. That's also a great way to put out proof of work and show that you know what you know. And then you can also share some of your frameworks. We don't always have to follow frameworks from the big names, Forbes framework for this and that. Sometimes you actually came up with something. You probably don't even know it's a framework, but it's something that has worked and is scalable. You can share that with people. Just put it in a in a presentable manner, maybe in infographics or something simple, and you are able to share your thoughts, your opinions, and your frameworks. You can also share your observation, maybe something you have observed, and you put it out there. These are some of the things that you share. Then you share your growth. Of course, that's the one that many people share. I'm happy to announce that I've been promoted to this. I'm happy to announce that I do this. I'm happy to announce that I went for this conference in the UK. I get it, but that's not the only way you can share your growth. You can share your growth in terms of your skills and the things you didn't used to do that you are now doing, things like that. So those are some of the great ways to build a portfolio online and to share your work. Another important thing that your portfolio does not always have to come, that does not always have to be tied to your job title or your employer, is that it can come from some of your side projects and your personal side projects. It can come from some case studies that other people have done that you want to talk about. It can come from volunteering. Many people do volunteering work and they don't really share a lot about it. You can come from writing. You can choose to be writing about your experience, your lessons, and stuff like that. And sometimes you just do some community work and you put it out there. So just make sure that you find a way to document your professional self, because at the end of the day, visibility matters, really. Visibility really matters.
Thank you for that. Very relevant.
Sorry, to add something to that.
Okay.
It is not only just for the audience that you don't know. Sometimes even to get a job, I don't know if you know now that in interviews, people go to interviews with like detailed presentation that kind of captures everything that they've done and they do and their skills, and also it's also like you can apply it in that context.
For sure, for sure. The next question is, how do you advise someone on how to distinguish a skill set that they need to double down on and one that they need to, kind of just put aside? Did you understand my question?
Mm, okay, so the question is, what skills do I prioritize? Pretty
Yes.
much. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, as a product manager,
Well, prioritize, and then you actively have to let go of some things.
yes, I
How
want
do
to
you
give you a
decide?
practical example.
Okay,
So
okay.
I studied crop science and horticulture. I think I was like the second position in my class at the time I was graduating, and I was passionate about working in the agriculture industry at the time that I had graduated. I worked, in fact, my first 3 organizations were agriculture related, and they were specific to what I studied. My skills are applicable there. I knew, like, I could name plants top of my head in their scientific names. Now I've forgotten most of them because I put them aside. They are no longer relevant to where I am going to. They are no longer relevant to where I am. So, like the last person that gave a suggestion said, she said that what is the problem that people need, that you're solving for? What is relevant now? What do you need now? And so if you see yourself as, I want to use someone outside of tech, I'm thinking of an architect, like you said. 3D modeling is very important. It's relevant now. A lot of interior decorators use them now, even event production. right? These are other ways that architectural skills can be applied, right? These are other ways that architectural skills can be applied. There are a lot of things that you can do, but there are also new inventions, right? We have new technology that are being used to, bring produce results faster, and you can actually just discard those, right? Because, for example, for people that code, Fortran is not really relevant right now, but you need to know React JS, stuff like that. So you need to be able to think from the angle of now and the future, because you can't go back to the past. So, and let me tell you something, the fact that you're putting aside a skill does not mean you don't have that skill. It's just that you are not using it right now anymore. So it's like you parked a car and you haven't driven in like 5 years. Does not mean that you can't start and move a car. You might just be a little rusty if you choose to pick it up again. But then, in terms of prioritizing, if you need to use your legs now, then you prioritize using your legs and you walk. But then the day you decide that, okay, maybe I need that skill now, I need to drive, you pick up the car, you try to drive. It may be a little tough, but then you get a hang of it because your skills stay with you. They are not leaving you. They're there. I hope that answers your question.
It does, and I enjoyed listening to that for sure. So my next question is about resilience, especially when we discard a skill and then we have to use it in the future. And then upon reflection, people say that resilience places the burden of systemic or structural failures onto the individual. When you teach resilience, how do you account for contexts where the environment, not the person, is what that needs to change? So
So the
basically,
environment needs to change, not the person.
yes. So the context is just not good for the person. How do
Oh,
you encourage that person to be resilient?
okay. So I try not to present resilience as accepting unhealthy systems indefinitely, right? For example, you're working in an organization that lacks structure, that lacks foresight, innovation. You don't have to stay in that environment indefinitely. So because some environments genuinely need to change. It's not you, it's the environment. So honestly, um, while systems are evolving slowly, you as an individual, you need to survive, you need to adapt, and you need to create options for yourself. And so that is what I would say. Just create options for yourself. I can dare to say that you should remove yourself from such environment if you can, but create options for yourself as much as you can. So you need to build your resilience in this situation would be to build skills that would help you adapt, survive, and give you options.
Thank you for that. And last question to wrap up this Academy Launch and Learn is, what does a successful career transition look like on the other side? So, someone has changed a job, maybe they have a new title, or maybe they just feel better. But what are some things that we need to look out for a successful career transition?
Oh, one of the major metrics is confusion. If there are different types of career transition, right? If you are moving from industry to another industry, that's a shock. Now imagine moving from industry to maybe like you were a lawyer in hospitality or in finance, and then you move to lawyer for entertainment. You're still a lawyer, but you're changing industry, right? But then imagine that you are a lawyer in fintech. You now choose to become a lawyer you choose to become maybe a marketing executive. That's changing industry and changing role. So you are not just learning the industry, you have to learn the role again too. So the first sign of success is when you struggle at the very beginning. You struggle. There are several times you would wonder, what am I doing? What's going on? And that's one side of success. Of course, I'm getting to actual what you want to hear, but then it's just proof that you are moving. You are moving away from the old into the new. And then a successful transition is now going to start to show when your work starts to align more with your strengths and your values on a long-term basis. Like you are already seeing yourself making progress. You are seeing the next level. And it's not just because your title is improving, but your output is improving, your speed is improving, your confidence also follows, because competence follows confidence. So you become more confident because you are churning out better work, you are getting results, so that alignment is good, and then it becomes easier for you. So you start to identify strengths, and your values also align, and then you start to find your own space in that new environment. So yes, that's success upon transitioning.
For sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, to be honest, I really want to talk about this for like 3 more hours if everyone is, fine with staying in this room for 3 more hours. But thank you so much for your time. We should have a part two maybe in the next session of Academy Lunch and Learn for the next year. And then before we go, any last minute comments from anyone before I end the call? I like the emoji reactions. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Monjola.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everybody that joined. Have a wonderful weekend.
Definitely. And you too. Let me stop the recording.